Sometimes trials will come in, they might only be there for 2-3 sessions. So you've got to make an impact quite quickly.
Players on trial that you like or you don't like.
Like their energy, do they want to get on the ball? Do they want to try stuff? Do they want to have an impact? You don't need to be someone that can do 20 step overs and dribble past 3 players. Like if you can do the basics of what they require. If you're a fullback and you're struggling to run forwards and get back, you're probably not going to get that opportunity.
I just want you to have a super strength, one thing, be really good at one thing.
The things that you're good at, just keep working on those things as well. If you're good at everything, you're probably not outstanding at things.
And it's more important to be outstanding at one thing to like leave an impression.
Yeah, I think that's good. It gives you more of a chance.
What's one trait every future pro must have?
Inner drive.
But what does hard work mean to you?
You know, the thing with hard work, I think a lot of the time it's what you do away from us when we're not there watching. So you could come in and you could be like really at it in training, but then you go home and you don't eat properly, you don't recover, you're on the PlayStation till 3 a.m. Like for me, that's, you're not working hard enough.
What's the biggest piece of advice you have for that player?
Well, one thing I've not really mentioned is like love playing football. No matter what level you're playing at, if you don't really love playing football, if you're in the academy and you're not really loving it, I think you're going to be very limited to what you can get to.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Select Generation podcast. Today we've got a very exciting guest. We've got Elliot Head, who's the assistant of the 18s at Bournemouth Academy. So I've got a lot of questions for Elliot and I'm going to try and ask them in the perspective of a 16, 17, 18-year-old that wants to play in and around that level. Obviously, Bournemouth have probably one of the best academy setups in the Premier League, if not globally. And they're really kind of focused on developing players and getting players to the next level, whether that's the first team, whether that's in and around other clubs. And I think Elliot's obviously had a lot of experience being in that environment, understanding what it takes for a younger player to break through. And that's a lot of the players and parents that are listening to this that are wondering, what do I need to do? Premier League team, what are they looking for? How does it all work? And obviously Elliot's got a really cool coaching story and journey too that we'll get into. But yeah, first off, Elliot, thank you so much for your time.
No, thanks for having me.
Really appreciate you being here. For someone that's listening to this, that is wondering, like, Elliot Head, he's the assistant at 18s of Bournemouth. Who are you? What is your story? What's your job?
Yeah, so kind of my story to start with. So I played at Bournemouth when it was a centre of excellence before academies. So I got signed at 9, played through to kind of 15, and like most young lads, like wanted to play professionally. Soon realised when I got released at 15 that probably wasn't going to be an option for me. But started then getting into coaching and really enjoyed coaching and did a lot of coaching kind of part-time and tried to get a few different jobs alongside obviously being at school. And then I was very fortunate to get my first full-time job at 18 working for the FA. It was called the FA Skills Programme at the time. I spent 5 years there and then ended up at Bournemouth again. First year as a part-time coach and then full-time role quite quickly after that. So that's kind of my journey and I always was passionate about going back to Bournemouth and trying to support players like some of the great coaches that I had, trying to coach those lads and really try and give some of the experiences that I've had from playing.
So when you say centre of excellence to an academy, what's the difference between a centre of excellence and an academy? Yeah,
so a few years back now, I don't know the exact date, but they brought in EPPP, so every club then had to become an academy, and then there was more strict rules around the amount of staff that you had to have, the facilities you had to have, that kind of thing. Whereas a centre of excellence was a bit more, you didn't need certain coaches. A lot of the coaches that I had were part-time, whereas now that you look at the academy system now, there's a lot of full-time coaches, a lot of full-time kind of multidisciplinary staff as well.
So it's basically just a bit more of a professional setup?
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Just a bit more regulated as well.
So when you were a player, and you're at the centre of excellence, what was your, first of all, how did you get recruited to that at 9 years old? Because there's a lot of players and parents that we work with that are like 16, 17 trying to get these types of offers and they're like, oh, clubs are recruiting at the age of 9. So what was your process to getting scouted by Bournemouth at 9 years old?
To be honest, probably because we had a really good grassroots team. So our grassroots team was one of the best within our area. So actually myself and 2 other players from my team ended up getting recruited for Bournemouth. So I think that's probably why, like, they probably saw the results and saw that we were doing quite well. So someone was just watching one of your games? Yeah, just scouts that were out and about, right. and they came and watched us. And so the goalkeeper actually for our grassroots team got signed first, and then they would come and watch him. And then a couple of...
And you'd play well.
Yeah, and right. another one of my mates got scouted through that really, and then you go in for a trial. So we trialed for like 6 to 8 weeks at that time, and then luckily got signed off the back of that.
So from 9 till 15, are you just playing for Bournemouth full time at Bournemouth? How is that?
Yeah, so you couldn't play for your grassroots team. You just played at Bournemouth. To be honest, in the summer I'd go and play like summer tournaments, and some of the lads still do that now. But yeah, that you're full time, like 3 times a week, and play a game at the weekend, so it's quite full on.
And then when you get to 15, you say you got released. Is that why did you get released? Because do they not have a team from 15 to 18? Were they looking at new players? Were you not at the level? Like, how was your release process?
Yeah, just not being at the level, to be honest. I think I was playing as a centre mid, and they had 2 or 3 better centre mids than me that were playing up an age group, and just wasn't at the level.
And how was that?
And I think I kind of knew that at that age as well.
How was that? Did it upset you?
Yeah, quite tough at the time, because your whole identity at that age is, he's the kid that plays for Bournemouth. So.
It's funny you say that, because we had Pat on the other day and he was saying like he was at Southampton. You're the kid that in your school that plays for Southampton, and then it's your identity.
Yeah, so that can be quite tough. But I think I've always been quite self-aware that I knew that I wasn't quite at the level I need to be a professional. So I went and played kind of non-league, played for a few different clubs, but I always had that passion for coaching. Even at that age, I really enjoyed like the tactical side of stuff, like trying to technically develop myself, that type of thing.
So what was your transition from playing to coaching? Because there's a lot of players that get released that maybe want to completely get rid of football, but you wanted to stay in football. So how was when you're 15 getting released to then being a coach? What's in between that?
Probably a big support from my parents. They were like, you love football, like what else is that you can do? And straight away it was like, I quite enjoy playing footy manager. I enjoy the tactical side of stuff. So let's go and do a bit of coaching. So I started coaching with the local grassroots club that I'd worked with previously. There was Arsenal soccer schools or something that was starting to grow at that point. So I went and worked for them. Reached out to Dorset FA, which was my kind of local county FA. Started doing a bit of part-time bits for them as well. So just tried to get loads of coaching experiences, really.
What was your first job at Bournemouth Academy?
First job was part-time under-9s coach.
Right.
Normally where most coaches kind of come in, if you haven't played professionally yet, then you probably tend to come in at kind of the foundation phase or pre-academy age.
And did you have to have any licenses?
Yeah, so you had to be a B licensed coach. And then also the youth award, which is kind of merged now into one, but that used to be a thing when I was kind of getting recruited at that point.
So what's your journey from U19 assistant to 18 assistant?
Yes, it's been quite rapid recently, really. So I was an under-9s part-time coach, then became full-time 9s and 10s coach. So we started to call it sales. So you have a 9s, 10s lead, 11s, 12s lead, and so on. I then became the foundation phase lead, which is under 9s to under 12s. That was within probably a year of starting at Bournemouth. And then at Bournemouth at the time, we kind of crossed over age groups quite a lot. So during the day, I'd go and support the 18s, I'd go and support the 21s, go and do day release, that type of thing. And then I actually did the foundation phase for a long time, and then under 16s coach, when was it, January last year, and then 18s coach only for like the last month.
Why do you think that you moved up so quickly?
I think I probably could have moved up quicker from the foundation phase. There were opportunities previously, but I really enjoyed working with the younger age groups. And then it just became a point where I was like, I'm ready for that next step. And it just happened to be that the 16s coach was moving on. And I interviewed for that and got that role. But I think it was probably something that I could have done sooner. And then once I bumped up to the 16s and then the 18s assistant left, it was kind of like the natural step. So.
Okay. What's been, in terms of like your coaching at Bournemouth, I know you said obviously you like working with the younger age groups. As a coach, like what fulfills you? Why do you coach?
At the younger age groups, it was just seeing players that just loved coming to training, just loved wanting to get better, create an environment where they enjoy playing football as well as trying to improve as well. Not being too much of a school teacher where it's like it's a bit of a slog to come into training. Like I want lads to come in and love being there. And then now working with the 18s, still that like them love training. Like they're training every day. So if you're not enjoying it and I'm not energetic, enthusiastic as a coach, then I don't think the players are going to enjoy that.
How do you build that type of culture? Because some people might think that it's all about the player recruitment. Some people might think, okay, you can have a range of players and it's all about the coach's energy and how they set it up. Is it team bonding events? Is it just everyone understanding the why? Like, your players come to training excited, they want to get better. How do you as a coach create that?
Big thing for me is like finding out about that player, so like finding out a little bit more. So we have a lot of like one-to-one meetings. We do things like you say, like team bonding events, like just trying to get to know the player a little bit more away from just football. And then with the football side of stuff, it's just understanding what are they good at and how can we try and make that and progress that even more. And then also what can we try and add to their game or add to their toolbox to try and help them get to the next level.
So as a Premier League academy, a Bournemouth player, what does a week look like for a player?
So under 18s, they train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then a game on Saturday. Thursday's education day. But alongside the training, you have like analysis meetings. We would have gym sessions. You'd have education bits within that as well. Like there's psychology. There's so much support now for these young lads. So although it's just training on those days, they would also have loads of other support alongside that.
What do you think? I'm interested to talk about that because I think a lot of players that we deal with, a lot of the questions I get is like, okay, I'm going to go to the field, I'm going to do private sessions, it's going to be all technical work. As long as I can score goals and defend 1v1, I'm going to be a good footballer. And they don't really understand like stretching, yoga, video analysis, tactical stuff, electrolytes, what they eat. So obviously as a coach, your job primarily, I'm assuming, is the football side, setting up the sessions. What else do you as a coach need for your player to get better outside of the pitch? Like, what are you cautious about in terms of their development away from football?
Yeah, there's so much now. Like you said, the nutrition is key. Like the demands that we place on the players in training. If you're not fueling your body properly, you're not looking after yourself when you leave training. Like you're not going to be performing at your maximum. If players aren't getting stronger in the gym, if they're not doing their prehab, if that stuff's not there as well, that's going to really impact the training and the games. The mentality part is key. Like for me, if players haven't got that inner drive, haven't got that resilience, haven't got that mental side, I think you're only going to be able to go so far because the demands that are placed on you are really high now to get to that top level.
So you talk about mentality. If there is a player that doesn't have the mentality, can you coach it into them or is it natural?
You can do some bits, but a lot of the time you'll find with players, it's like, it's within inside them, so that you can do little bits within training. You can have little one-to-ones and kind of prompt them and try and encourage them, but ultimately it's down to them. So if they haven't got that inner drive to want to get better, to want to improve, to do the stuff away from training, you're going to limit yourself on your kind of what your ceiling might be.
So for you as the 18s coach, are you involved in any of the recruitment side of the team? Like, are you going out and scouting, watching players, or are you just coaching the team?
So now, not so much really with the 18s. Like we'll have players that come in on trial and you'll look at them in training, you'll look at them in games and you'll put their clips together, but not going out and watching players. Like we might get sent videos of players to have a look at, but we leave that down to the recruitment team, and the recruitment team's growing all the time now. We've got quite a lot within that team. So
for a player that comes in on trial, Elliot, and you're looking at a player, you think, okay, I'm going to sign him. What are some things like red flags, green flags when a player is on trial that you like or you don't like?
A huge thing for me is just like their energy. Do they want to get on the ball? Do they want to try stuff? Do they want to have an impact? If they come in and kind of not really getting on the ball, don't really have much personality with the way they play, you're looking and going, well, what can they actually add to what we've got? I think the technical ability is really important. I think if you're going to play at a Premier League level or in the Football League, you've got to be technically good, and also physically now as well. Like you look at some of the players now, you've got to be able to get around the pitch. You've got to be able to change direction. You've got to be able to have those 5-10 metre bursts. Like that's an important part as well. And probably the mentality again. Like, do they have that real drive to want to come and take the shirt off someone else? Do they want to put their extra bit of within the sessions?
How is it as a trialist coming in? Because obviously if you're a trialist going into a football club, you're like, okay, I want to take your shirt, but at the same time you're like, all right, I want to get a bit pally with them because maybe they're going to say a good word to the coach. Like how if you were giving advice to a trialist in terms of like going and smashing someone to like make sure, let them know you're there, but at the same time like being mates with them.
Tough, because like sometimes trials will come in, they might only be there for 2-3 sessions, so you got to make an impact quite quickly. Like we tend to try and give them longer if we can, but at under 18s that can be quite difficult. So I would say like just come and be yourself and just show us what you can do. Like the reason you've been scouted is because you've got some sort of attributes, so showcase what you can do. So if you're a really good finisher, yeah, show us that. If you're good out of possession, like show us that within the training.
So why would there be a player come in on trial, right? Because I'm thinking if you've got a team at the start of the season, I don't know how many players you have in your team. You have 18, right? And you're thinking that squad's going to get me through the season. Are you then going, okay, we're not scoring goals, so recruitment team, I need a striker. Are the recruitment team going, Elliot, I've seen this player, you have to take him in. Like, why would a player come in on trial?
Bit of both. So if we've seen someone and we go, yeah, do you know what they can add to the group, or they're better than what we have already, or actually we don't have a left back, so we're going out looking at left backs to try and bring them in. So a bit of both around that. But I think you're always looking for other players that might be out there that can add to your group and improve your group. And there's not like a set number that you would have in terms of, oh, we only take 18 players. No, if we've got 25 really good players, we'll take 25.
In this area, what are some other clubs that you'd be like competing against for players?
Southampton's probably the main one, particularly at a younger age. Portsmouth as well, not far. And then when you start getting to 18, like nationally, like players, some of the big clubs can come and take your players at 16, 17, 18. So you're competing nationally then as well.
What's the difference between a player in your 18s and then, because you have 18s, 21s, and then the first team?
Yeah.
So what's the difference in players in each of those three categories? Because I mean, from U9s to U16s, I guess that's all more youth football. Then when you get to 18s, it's like, okay, we're looking at you maybe for the first team or for the 21s. What would be the difference between players in the 18s, 21s and first team?
I would say like the demands placed on you are a lot higher. So you're going from 16s, which is you're still at school, to suddenly 18s, you're in a full-time program. So being able to meet the demands of that, so your robustness and again, all those other bits like taking care of yourself, and I would say technical ability. Like if you can't handle the ball and you're going into a first team training session, you're going to get found out quite quickly. Physically, like I mentioned already, that's a big thing now within the game. Like you've got to be able to get around the pitch. You've got to be able to physically compete with some of the athletes that they have in the Premier League now. And mentality is so big. Like we've had players that have gone up to the first team and they're probably technically not as good as others, but their mentality is spot on. Like they'll go into training and their reactions, the way they press, the way that they get around the pitch, the way they kind of get after other people is really good. And that's something that the manager's very big on, is that mentality.
So if a player is going to get promoted, do they have to go 18s, 21s first team, or could you send a player directly to the first team?
You could send the player directly. We don't tend to do that at the moment. But yeah, that could happen. I know other clubs would do that. They maybe jump straight up. I mean, if you've got a really top player, that they'd probably bypass the 21s and probably go straight up. But a lot of the time they go 18s, 21s and then first team.
So what would make you be like, okay, I'm going to send this player to the first team? Is it a good performance? Is it a good week of training? Why would a player go from the 18s to the first team?
You'd have to be a consistent performer. So not just off the back of one good performance. Consistent performer that we knew when they went up there would show a good attitude, would make sure they were on time.
I guess because you're under pressure as well, because if you send a player to the first 100%. Team and they're like, why are you sending me?
Yeah, got to be technically able to go and handle that. Because the first thing that the first team manager is probably going to see is them in a technical practice or a rondo practice or something along those lines. So if we put them in there and we don't think they can handle that, we probably wouldn't send them up there. So they've got to be able to deal with those demands straight away.
You talk a lot about like technical ability, physically and mentality. What are some examples of like, obviously technical ability is pretty obvious. You're technically at the level or not, but mentality wise, what would be an example of a player who has a really good mentality going to the first team? Like how would they show that? How would you know that they had a good mentality enough to go to the first team?
Just basic things like being on time. When you turn up, what do you look like? Well, they look smart. They look like they're ready to go. Like when you go out and train, like you can feel already that energy of like, I'm ready to go and train. Whereas players, sometimes they rock up and it's like going through the motions and yeah. Like, no, like if you're going up there, like it's professional. You need to be bang on it straight away. Bring that character and that kind of enthusiasm that you have to the session. Don't go up there and then not want the ball, not work hard, not react. Like you've got to go up there and give everything that you've got when you're there. Be respectful for the players that you're playing with. Be respectful to staff. So yeah, like all those types of things are really key.
If the first team come and say, Elliot, I need this type of player, this is the type of profile, this is what I need for this training session. Obviously, I'm assuming it changes depending on position. But what is a common characteristic or trait that the first team are like, Elliot, I need this, can you give me this player?
Yeah, someone again that technically can handle the ball. Like can they technically deal with the ball? Depending on position. So if they're a centre half, can they defend? Like if they're a goalkeeper, like not so much are they good on the ball, like do they make saves?
I think it's interesting because when you're talking about like developing players, there's so many things that go into like the development of a player, but at the basic level it's just like, if you're a striker, do you score goals? If you're a defender,
100%,
1v1, win your headers, individual battles. If you're a fullback, can you get up the pitch? Can you cross it and 1v1 defend? And I think a lot of times people overcomplicate like what you need to do to be a footballer.
Yeah, like you said, there are certain positions. So if you've got a forward player, a big thing for us is pressing. So if they don't know how to press and they haven't got the physical capabilities to press, they're going to struggle to get up with the first team. Can they score goals? Like that's going to be important. Can they hold the ball up? If they can do those things, as like basic examples, you've got half a chance. You don't need to be someone that can do 20 step overs and dribble past 3 players. Like if you can do the basics of what they require, if you're a fullback and you're struggling to run forwards and get back, you're probably not going to get that opportunity. Whereas if you're a fullback that's got good engine, can overlap, can join in, can cross the ball, good 1v1 defending, then you've got a chance of progressing.
Do the players in your team, is all of their goal to get to the first team, or are some of them trying to go to other clubs in Europe or trying to go to the National League? Is everyone trying to be a pro? Are there some people that don't know and then maybe they want to go to uni? Like what are the goals of the players in your team?
I think 16, 18s, like their kind of goal would be to play in the first team. I think when you get to 21s, again, obviously they want to be in the first team, but I think they then start looking at, well, can I go and get a loan in the Football League? Can I go and get a loan National League? Can I go abroad to kind of broaden my horizons and see like a different type of football? So I think all their goals would be to play professionally and for Bournemouth if they can. But if they can't do that, there's so many opportunities now. Like we've had a couple of players recently go abroad to go and play. Just playing football professionally is a huge goal for them.
What is the difference between youth football and men's football?
We've had some debates about this recently. Like if you come and watch an academy game, you'll see teams trying to build from the back. They'll be pressing. It will be quite tactical, probably a little bit slower, I would say as well. Not so many like crosses in the box, not so many longer passes. Whereas when you go into men's football and there's 3 points on the line and it means a little bit more, suddenly the style of football is slightly different. And the margins for error are so small. So if you're a centre half and you're trying to dribble out from the back and it doesn't quite work, you concede. If you're in League 1, League 2, that's quite a big thing. Whereas in academy football, it's like, okay, no problem. Like obviously we want to win games, but
it's more about development.
More about the development. So that's a huge difference between the two.
And how do you get them ready for men's football?
Yeah, we're in a league, so we try and make that like a big thing around, like we want to go and win and we want to try and get 3 points. We play in different cups. We try and give them different opportunities where, like in pre-season, we played against Poole Town, which is a non-league side. So we try and give them that exposure, and the 21s would do the same. So they're in the Hampshire Cups. They play against senior men's teams, like not professional teams, but non-league teams, to try and help them with dealing with playing against men and it being a slightly different type of football.
And when you say different type of football, like how is it different?
So for an example would be, if you're going to go and play against a Southern League side, the pitch that you're going to play on is going to be quite poor. The change room is probably going to be quite poor. There's going to be a crowd that might be a little bit like hostile, like goalkeeper's going to get the ball and he might be getting a bit of stick, which he's not going to get at academy football. So we'll try and loan players out as well to non-league sides to give him that exposure. And just facing different. So if you're playing against a 30-year-old striker as a centre-half compared to an 18-year-old, the differences between those two players will probably be quite different.
How would a 30-year-old striker that's playing non-league be different to an 18-year-old striker?
Probably just got that bit more experience. Like, will probably make it quite difficult for you. Like, this is kind of stereotypical of like what a 30-year-old striker might be. They might be like an academy player, but often you'll find when you're playing against men, the kind of experiences that they've picked up, the physical side of the game, like being able to pin you, to be able to like do the nasty bits of the game that make it difficult for you. They've probably got more understanding of how to use that and how to get away with that.
I think that is so important about football because, for example, like our boys here in Bournemouth now at the team, they're being exposed to playing in a men's league, right? So we're playing step 8 and it's a lot of long balls, like you talked about, the pitches, the facilities, they're not really used to that.
Yeah.
And it's a different side of the game where the striker knows how to pin you, set pieces are so important, they'll step on you at the corner, they'll pinch you, right? All of this stuff, like you have to understand how to deal with that because at the next level, it's so important. What would you say is the differences between like a national league, let's say that you're loaning out a player and they are going maybe into like a first team, and then the difference between a national league team, right? Like, so your players in training, they might have gone and trained with the first team, very technical, very fast, very sharp, and then they go on loan to a non-league team.
Yep.
How do they deal with, maybe it's not perfect and it's not always playing out from the back, it's a bit longer. How do they deal with like a longer game when they've grown up knowing how to play out from the back?
Yeah, that could be a real challenge for the lads. And like, we try to be quite tactical in like where we send players. So if we know there's a non-league side that play in a certain way and we feel like that player needs that exposure, then we'll try and send them to that club. So is
that you or is that the recruitment team?
That would be the recruitment. They're kind of a mix. We call it a multidisciplinary team, so it would be kind of a mix of the loans manager, the coaches, the recruitment, so all those types of people. But yeah, they do struggle. They can struggle with that, particularly certain positions within the game. Like centre backs again, like I said, is if you've only really been used to trying to play through and you've not been used to dealing with longer balls, then that can be quite tough for them. So that's why we're trying to add those bits in training as well. So there's certain practices that we might do in training that you got to deal with a long ball, or we might deliberately play against teams that we know are going to give us that, or we might play a little bit like that within training, just because then it gives those players that exposure to, I know I've been in these situations before.
How would a player know if they're on track for the first team?
I don't think you'll ever know until you've played in the first team and you've played 20 games, 25 games. I think it's very difficult to say I'm on track to be a first team player, because there's so many things that could change. Like, you could be doing really well in your age group, you could be playing up an age group, you could be thinking I'm doing really well here, I'm on the track for the first team, and then you go and buy a 20 million player that's in the same position as you, who's better than you. So I think until you're playing in the first team regularly, I think it's hard to say that you're on track for that first team.
What advice would you give to a player that's 16, 17, 18 that gets released, doesn't get offered a pro?
Go and play. Go and play if you can go and play non-league, go and play football. I think the worst thing can be is if you just go to somewhere else where you're not really playing, and you just go and find, even if it's you start at a lower level, if you go and play 30 games in one season, suddenly you do well at that level, you might go up to the next level, you then do well at that level, so I just go and playing games as much as you can. Go and speak to people, like write to clubs, go and put your name out there, and I think going and playing games is massive.
And as a coach, at that age, how do you balance development and winning?
I think for us, like, we will do things in games that is more towards the development rather than than winning the game. So an example might be if our fullback's struggling against their winger and it's really testing his 1v1. If you're at a first team level, you might think, well, I need to change that. But at our level, we'd go, do you know what? Let's keep exposing him to that because he's going to learn by playing against that player. Or it could be, actually, we want our forward player to practice receiving under pressure. So actually, we're going to play into him a little bit more today. We're going to say to the centre-halves, can we find our 9 a little bit quicker? And that might not be what the game needs, but it's helping develop that player. But always we want to try and win. Like, we want to try and win games as much as we can, because if you're getting beat every week, I don't think that helps develop players either.
So for you as a coach, would you say that you have a specific philosophy or a way that Elliot wants to play?
Yeah, I would say myself and James that I work with in the 18s, like, we're very much like, we want the lads to play good football. Like, in terms of the out of possession, like the first team, we want to be really ultra aggressive on the press, react quickly when we lose possession, and in possession we want to be brave to take the ball. We want to try and play through midfield. We want to combine when we get in the final third. We want forward runs. Like, we want all the stuff that a Man City would probably want. So
what happens if there's a new coach of the first team that comes in and he says, I want to play 4-4-2, I want to park the bus, I don't want to high press, I want to sit off low block? Would you then have to adapt to fit his criteria, or could you still impose like your...
Under 18s, we can be quite flexible. 21s is a little bit more, you need to probably align a little bit more to the first team because you're one step away from that. Whereas 18s, we can be a little bit more flexible depending on the players that we've got. But also we believe that if we've got players that we're asking to press and be really aggressive to press, that's going to help them physically. That's going to help them. If you then go and play for a team where you're asked to sit deeper, that's much easier to learn than suddenly going and playing for a team where now you got to press for 90 minutes. So our belief is definitely like, we want to be man for man press, be really aggressive, because we think longer term that's then going to set them up better for whoever they go and play for.
So for you as a coach, would you say that first off, how important is like man management of a team?
Yeah, so important, particularly at that age, at 16, 17, some of the lads we're working with, like, they're still doing education. Some of them are moving out of home for the first time. Some of them, it's like your first time. We've got players that have only just come into the academy system. It's still very new to them. Training every day, completely new to some of them. So that support and that man management and getting to know them is really important. And setting clear boundaries with the lads as well. So, you know, these are the boundaries, don't fall outside of those boundaries. And if you do, there'll be consequences, because if they don't learn that at 18, you might only get one chance when you get to a first team. And if you're 10 minutes late for a meeting, that could be you done. So we don't accept being late for meetings.
What happens if I'm late for a meeting?
In the 18s, you get punished for that. If you're in the first team, I've known players that have been late for meetings and I don't want to see them again. So you've got to try and learn that at a younger age. So when you hopefully get to that level, you're prepared for that.
How involved are the parents with your team?
Not as involved when they get to 18, like still involved, will still come to games, but...
Are you having meetings with or are the parents texting you, hey, how's my son doing? Or?
No, we don't tend to get that. We have reviews with the parents and the player. So they often will have conversations then.
But 18, you try and separate it because the player's 18 now, he needs to be independent.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you've got the parents constantly trying to influence it, I don't think that helps the boy. I don't think that helps us. So
interesting. Yeah, this is a good point. And then in terms of like building the culture and building the team, if you're going through a rough patch, you're losing, you've lost 3-4 games on the bounce, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, we experienced that last season. Like, yeah, that can be tough. I think constantly reminding the players of, like, remember, this journey is never going to be smooth. Like, you're always going to have bumps in the road. So that could be losing games. That could be you get injured. It could be you're not getting selected. But it's like, how do you overcome them? And if you can overcome them in a positive way, that's going to set you up. Like, you're going to play games in your career where you might lose 3-4 games. But it's like, well, how do we galvanise ourselves? How do we stick together to then go and put it right in that next game? So we'd add little bits into training to try and maybe brighten the mood up a little bit, or we might tweak training to try and help the lads to go and win the next game. But yeah, that's never easy. Like no one likes losing 3 or 4 games on the bounce, but yeah, it's reminding the players that this is part of your journey, that there's going to be times like that.
So for you as a coach, Elliot, do you, in terms of like your individual journey, are you wanting for the rest of your career to be the Bournemouth 18s head coach? Would you like to coach first team professionally, non-league? Like what's your...
Yeah, I thought about this a lot, really. I really enjoyed the development side of it. I'm sure there'll be a time where if I can push up and go 18s league or 21s, or that would be something that when the time comes, I'd be like to do that. And if it ever came available to maybe go to a first team and be involved with that as well. But I think the more I've been in academy football, the more I realise that my kind of coaching style probably suits that better. Like the way that I want to try and support players and young players to improve, probably my coaching style suits that better than trying to get 3 points at the weekend. So.
In terms of, I want to have some advice for coaches too, because there's a lot of coaches, for example, in the US, it's quite easy to become a coach. Like you don't really need a license. You can kind of go in at a club as long as you've had like a decent history. Like it's quite easy to get a coaching job. But I feel like in England, obviously there's so much competition. Everyone wants to, if you're not a player, you want to get involved in coaching. And what I've realised is that in England, a lot of the coaches coach because they love it. It's not a big paycheck, especially when you're starting out. It's not something that you do because you need the money for it. You do it because you love it. Yeah. Love it. So for you as a coach, what is your advice for someone that says, Elliot, I want to be a Premier League academy coach? What do I need to do?
If they're first starting out, the big thing for me is go and coach as many different types of groups as you can. So my first experiences were coaching 7-year-olds, 18-year-olds. I coached a women's team. I coached like a grassroots team, but also like quite a high-end JPL, which is a higher standard of non-league. Like go and get loads of experiences of coaching. I think the other thing is go and try stuff. Depending on what level you're at, go and try coaching in different style. Go and try different types of practices. Go and try setting up or speaking to players in a slightly different way. Like the more practice and the more opportunities you get of that, the better you're going to be as a coach. Whereas if you only ever do things that you know work and you know, oh, this will be easy today, I'll just put this practice on because I know that works, you're never going to develop yourself as a coach. And then to get into an academy coach, like you've got to be prepared that it's not as glamorous as it looks. Like you said there, like you work a lot of evenings. Like you have to be prepared that the hours are quite long. The pay might not be fantastic. I think sometimes people look at a Premier League academy and go, "Oh, that must be unreal." Like,
what are the negatives of being a Premier League academy coach that people don't think about? Because I ask players a lot about this. Like, oh yeah, you're a professional footballer. People think you have a nice watch, drive a nice car. Which, if you're a Premier League player, yeah. But if you're a non-league player, it's not the case. And I was talking to Pat the other day about being a non-league manager. Like, you go to bed, if you made the wrong sub, then that's affecting you. You might not, be able to sleep that well. So what are the negatives of being a football coach that people might not think about?
Biggest one in academy is like telling the players that the journey's over. Like that's, or you getting released from the academy. Like that's very tough, especially when you've built that connection with the player. I think just the number of the amount of hours that you put into it, constantly going, am I doing the best for the players? Like that's a big thing. I wouldn't say that's maybe a negative, but it's hard to switch off. Yeah, it's hard to switch off. Like you're constantly thinking about what can I do for the players? I'll go and watch that game. I'll go and do these clips for that player. So it's very difficult to get that kind of work-life balance when you're working in football. And I'm sure that's the same in other industries, but particularly at football, it's tough.
So what would your advice be for a coach? Obviously, I know you said there about like go and do as many things as possible. Do you think that like being a coach is something that you're born with or you can learn it? Because, for example, when I'm thinking about successful coaches, like they don't stop. They just always thinking about football.
Yeah.
And then there's some people that want to coach and then, do you think that you're kind of born to be a coach or you learn it?
I don't know about born. I just think you've got to have that. You've got to be very passionate about it. You have to be. I think if you haven't got that passion for anything that you do, I just don't think you're probably going to reach.
Do you think you learned your passion from Football Manager then?
I think I just loved football. Like, I loved watching football. I loved playing football. I loved playing Footy Manager. I loved FIFA. Like, I loved everything about football. And I think I was determined that I was going to work full time in football. So even if it wasn't a coach, if I went and did something else, like I just wanted to work in football. And then just as I started coaching more and more, my passion grew more. I started realising that actually I'm quite good at this, and just keep trying to add bits.
What do you think
it.
is your biggest strength as a coach?
Probably just how passionate I am about coaching, and just how passionate I am about trying to help players get to the next level. I think.
Why are you passionate about that? Is it just
because I'd love to see a player that I've coached go and play in the Premier League, go and play in the World Cup for England. Like that's every day. That's like driving me towards helping the players get to the next level. Like that's the big driver for me, and just constantly wanting to improve as a coach is a big thing for me. Like I'll go and do CPD. I'll go and speak to other coaches. I'll network. I'll watch sessions online. I'll watch Bayern Munich and how are they playing? Like how could we take some bits from them?
What's been the biggest challenge in your coaching career?
I'll say quite a big challenge if you haven't played at the top level. I think can be quite tough, because no matter how much experience I go and get coaching wise, I'm never going to have the experience of playing at the top level. So I'm limited in terms of the exposure that I've had.
Right.
So I can't tell the players what it's like to lose in the Premier League or miss a penalty in a World Cup. Like I haven't got that experience. So I'll say that's probably the bit that makes it harder. Is you can't always relate with players that are playing at the top level.
And if a player is coming to you for advice on getting to the next level, I'm sure that there's a lot of players in your team that are like, Elliot, I really want to play in the first team. What's your what are the questions? That's a question I'm interested in. What is a question that you get quite a lot from your players? Like, what are they most curious about, topics or specifics?
What things can I improve on? Do you know one thing I've not really mentioned, and I think it's so important, is someone that can play off both feet. If you can play off both feet, it makes such a difference to the way that you can play the game.
In any position or in
any position? Yeah, I think if you're a left back that can play down the line with your left foot, you can cross with your left foot, but actually you can come inside on your right foot, or you're a centre mid that can switch play with both feet, or you're a striker that can score off both feet. The more and more I see that, the more and more I'm like, that is huge. And that's such a...
You can't really teach that at 18 though, can you? Or can you?
You can, but yeah, if you can do that at a younger age, just practice both feet, makes such a difference. And with that as well, just scanning is something that we talk about a lot. Like just having, if you're aware of what's going on around you, and you can think that next step ahead, or you can see danger before it happens, or you can recognise where the pressure's coming from, you can take your touch away. That's such a simple thing that if players scan more as well, it just helps their decision making massively.
At 18, what are you specifically working on in your sessions? Because when you're at a younger level, it's probably more technical, more like ball mastery.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking when you get to like 18, 19, it's like, okay, I need to get you ready for the first team. How to press, tactics, set up.
Yeah.
I can't really teach you how to shoot that much more at 18. What would you say is the number one thing that like an 18-year-old needs to work on?
Do you know what? We have a real balance between what we do. So we do a lot of tactical stuff because they need to know that, and we need to help them with that. But actually our lads are tactically pretty good. So just honing their skills all the time. And
so it's like reps? Or?
Yeah, more so at that age, like you kind of know what type of player they are. So right, we know that he's a centre midfield player. These are the attributes he's got. He's really good at switching play, right? How do we make that even better? Or he's a number 9, but he's struggling with his hold up play, right? Let's go and get 100 balls, just fire it into him, have a defender behind him, and just practice receiving under pressure. So just trying to hone their skills and try and narrow it down a little bit on like, right, we know he's not going to be a dribbler, so we don't need to worry about being a dribbler.
That's interesting. I want to talk about that because a lot of players would be like, I want to be like 7 or 8 out of 10 at everything. But maybe you're thinking, you're a striker, I just need you to be really, really good at this one thing. So for a player that's listening to this, that's thinking, okay, I need to work on all parts of my game to get really good. Are you actually thinking that I just want you to have a super strength, one thing, be really good at one thing?
Yeah, I mean, if your super strength's huge, like if you've got a super strength, that's probably brought you in the building in the first place because you're really good at something. If you've got something that is so if you really can't use your left foot, that could be an issue for you because that, depending on the position that you play, But I think, yeah, like the things that you're good at, just keep working on those things as well, and trying to. If you're good at everything, you're probably not outstanding at things.
And it's more important to be outstanding at one thing to like leave an impression.
Yeah, I think that's good. It gives you more of a chance. Like if you're a wide player and you're a really good dribbler and you can go 1v1, then you're probably gonna you might need to tidy up a little bit on your end product, but it doesn't matter if you can't hit strike it 50 yards.
Yeah.
Because the reason you're going to get in the team is because you're a really good dribbler and you can go 1v1.
Interesting. Interesting. What does hard work mean to you? Because I have this debate conversation a lot. Some players are like, I work really hard, I went to the gym and I just got really like massive, like a bodybuilder. Some players are like, I work really hard and they ran a marathon, right? But you need to work hard specifically in terms of making you better as a footballer. So obviously you need to work hard. Everyone needs to work hard. I think that's the first thing you need to do.
Yeah.
But for you, what do you want your players to be working hard on, or what does hard work mean to you?
Do you know the thing with hard work? I think a lot of the time it's what you do away from us when we're not there watching. So you could come in and you could be like really at it in training, but then you go home and you don't eat properly, you don't recover, you're on the PlayStation till 3 a.m. Like for me, that's, you're not working hard enough to really develop yourself as a player, because you're limiting yourself what you can do. So it's not just what we see, it's the other bits as well, and like making sure you work hard in the gym, making sure if you're injured that you rehab properly, because if you work hard on your rehab, you're going to come back stronger. Working hard on the pitch, running around and showing that you're really energetic, but also hard work could be, I know I'm not very good at heading, so I'm going to go and work on that at the end of training, because that's going to help just inch my game a little bit higher to the level that I want to try and get to.
Amazing. My last question for you, Elliot, is there'll be some players listening to this and some parents listening to this that are like, wow, that's really cool to see like the inside of Premier League Academy, how it works. And a lot of the players will be like, I want to be a pro. I want to play in the Bournemouth first team. For a player that's listening to this that wants to get better at football in general, just wants to develop their game, what's the biggest piece of advice you have for that player?
You know, one thing I've not really mentioned is love playing football. Because no matter what level you're playing at, if you don't really love playing football, if you're in the academy and you're not really loving it, I think you're going to be very limited to what you can get to. So love playing, love practicing, and be yourself. Don't try and be someone. So if I know that I've got these attributes, but this lad over here, he's really good at that, I'm just going to copy him. Yeah, you might be able to take bits from his game, but don't try and be someone you're not, because I think too often people try and be someone that a player that he's good, so I'll just copy what he does. But actually, no, you've got good attributes. Like, you're good at this. Like, keep making that better. So I don't know if that's one piece of advice, but
that's really good. No one's ever said that before.
It, so.
That's amazing. No one's ever said that before. Okay, and then I just got a quick fire round to finish off, Elliot. So try and keep these short and quick. These responses. Who is the best player you've ever coached against?
Harvey Elliott came and played a couple of years ago.
Very good.
Yeah.
Favorite drill for developing players?
A 2v2 plus 2. So you have target goals at either end. You can play off the top player, and it's just be creative.
Amazing. What's one trait every future pro must have?
Inner drive.
What's the most underrated position on the pitch?
Probably biased, but holding midfield player.
If you could give every 16-year-old one message in less than 5 words, what would it be? Love the game.
Be yourself. Yeah, love it. Yeah.
Amazing. Elliot, that was really good. Guys, if you are this far, we'll tag Elliot's Instagram if you learned something about today's episode, or you want to say thank you or what was interesting, send him a message. But yeah, guys, that was amazing. Really good insight. I hope you learned something. If anyone has any questions, also, I'm currently in Bournemouth at the moment, and we're trying to get some guests that are interesting for you guys as listeners. So if there's someone you want to speak to, if it's a coach, if it's a player, if it's an agent, a director, anyone involved in football that you would think would be interesting, shoot me a message and I'll see if I can make it happen. But yeah, Elliot, thank you so much. That was really interesting. I
you.
learned a lot. So thank you so much.
Thank you.